Hi everyone, I decided to have a chat to you today about 7:40 wake-ups at night. So I've had lots of people contact me recently talking about how they put their baby to bed at 7 o'clock at night, but 40 minutes later the baby wakes up screaming and they might go in and settle their baby, or they might be able to stay out of the room, but the baby cries or yells or protests for a few minutes and goes back to sleep, and they want to know why this happens. Now this happens for various reasons. It happens in different aged babies for various reasons. I'll just quickly touch on the older child. So if you have an older child, so let's say you have a child of 9, 10, 11, older baby rather than child, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 months or so on, this is normally a sign that their wake up from their day sleep is too late. So let's say they're waking up from their day sleep at 4 o'clock, or they're waking up from their day sleep at 3:30, and you put them to bed at 7 o'clock at night, and then they wake up at 7:40 screaming. This is a catnap. Or they wake up chatting to themselves, but you want to know why they're waking up. It's a catnap. The reason for this is, when they went to bed at 7 o'clock at night, they were tired enough to have a little nap, which is 40 minutes sleep, but they weren't tired enough to reach deep sleep. So they went to sleep at 7 o'clock, and then they woke at 7:40, and normally they would just drift from that shallow sleep into the deep sleep and stay asleep and continue to sleep all night. But because they're not tired enough at 7 o'clock in the older baby or toddler, they don't get from that sleep cycle at the 40-minute mark, and they wake up. So how you would fix this is you would wake them up from their daytime nap 20 minutes earlier. So if they're waking up from their daytime sleep at 4 and they're going to bed at 7, no problems, and they're waking at 7:40, either crying or chatting or unsettled, try waking them up from their day sleep at 3:40, so 20 minutes earlier. Now in other age groups it's different. So newborn to 6 months, this is often a sign that they're hungry. So they go to bed at 7 o'clock at night, newborn to 6 months, go to bed at 7 o'clock at night, and then they wake up at the 40-minute mark after a catnap, because they weren't full enough to get from one sleep cycle to the next. This is explained in the 7 p.m. settling article, and it's also explained in the book. So if they're hungry, what do we do about it? Well, if they're bottle fed, you might try and get some more extra milk into them. You should always feed a baby until they are full. So you should always be feeding them the bottle until they're full. If they're breastfed, it might be that you have a little bit of less supply at that time of night, and you need to look at either giving them a bottle of express breast milk or some formula at that time. So, or if they're sort of over 4 months, you need to look at introducing, over 16 weeks, look at introducing solids. So it could be hunger, and that's explained in much more detail in the 7 p.m. settling article in the book under 7 p.m. settling. A lady's just said, what about dairy and if this affects sleep? Well, yes, if you have a child who's intolerant to the A1 protein in most dairy, or intolerant to cow's milk or so on, and you're giving it to them, they might go to sleep and then wake up 40 minutes later, and cramps in their tummy cause them to catnap. So yes, you could look at changing what they're having. Also, we find that if they are on a stage 2 infant formula, that hurts their tummy and they wake at the 40-minute mark. So I would get rid of the stage 2 infant formula and go back to stage 1 infant formula. I recommend stage 1 right through to 14 months. Also, probiotics can cause this waking. So probiotics can cause waking at the 40-minute mark. So we would cut those out of the mother's diet if she's breastfeeding, and we would avoid formulas which have probiotics in them. So that's hunger. Also, wind can cause the 40-minute wake up. So go back to basics and make sure you're winding your baby enough. Also, some babies are overtired at that time because they haven't had that little nap in the afternoon. So make sure you are using the correct bedding when you take them out for their pram nap to help them with the overtiredness. Again, this is explained more in the article. Some babies no longer need that pram nap. So it might be that you're giving them the pram nap at 4:30 to 5:15 and they don't need it anymore. So we cut the pram nap out and we allow them to sleep till 3:20. So let's say you've got a 5-month-old baby and you're waking them at 3 o'clock and giving them a feed, and then you're doing the pram nap at 4:30, waking them at 5:15. You would now allow them to sleep past 3 o'clock, so you'd allow them to sleep till 3:20, cut out the pram nap, and then bed at 7 o'clock, and the 40-minute wake-up disappears. So you need to consider that. But again, it's explained much better in the 7 p.m. settling article. Of course, too much day sleep. So if you've got sort of a 1-year-old and they're getting 3 hours day sleep, it might be that you need to cut it back to 2.5 hours day sleep to stop this waking at the 7:40 mark. Now, yesterday we were talking about the bedding guide and how I now believe that it is the weight of the blankets which helps your baby sleep, not the warmth of the blankets. So my bedding guide was written with me thinking the warmth was the factor. I need to update it all and change it, which is what's so good about my information. I constantly update and change it. I need to now start telling you that because yesterday I did a live feed about this, and hundreds of people changed their baby from a higher TOG sleeping bag to a lower TOG sleeping bag and have got in touch and said it worked and thank you very much. For example, a mum said that she was putting her baby to bed in Adelaide in a 2.5 TOG sleeping bag, long sleeve bodysuit, baby grow, and a sheet and 12 blankets. And she'd taken 2 blankets off in the warmer weather and her baby was early rising. So she listened to the live feed yesterday and she took the 2.5 sleeping bag away, replaced it with a 1 TOG, and she added back the 2 blankets to make it 12 blankets, and she reckons they had the best night's sleep they've had in a long time. So I am now saying to reduce your TOG of sleeping bag before you take the blankets away. So we would be moving from a 2.5 TOG sleeping bag to a 1 TOG, and if you're using a 1 TOG, we'd go to a 0.5 TOG sleeping bag. So remember to reduce the TOG of the sleeping bag, not the blankets, because we truly believe at the moment it's the weight of the blankets the babies like. And the Save Our Sleep blankets all have bamboo in them, which makes them heavier, not warmer, just heavier, and we know that babies love it. Lauren, I did see your question about the school pickups. I will try and do a live feed in the next week or so about school pickups, and you can always go back and look at the live feeds again. You don't have to watch them live, you can watch them at other times. Okay, so I've put a link to the bedding guide up to help you with what you need for your baby if you are having settling problems at 7 o'clock. It might be that you need to consider bedding as well, so I've put the link up as always. Rebecca has just asked, what about an unswaddled baby? Should you increase to 2.5 as per your guide? Okay, so that's a really good question, Rebecca. If you've got a baby who's in a 1 TOG and they're swaddled for sleep and you're going to take the swaddle away, yes, you go to a 2.5 TOG sleeping bag. But if you then decide to take blankets away, you go back to the 1 TOG. So yes, you would always go to the 2.5 as a starting point, but if you decide to take blankets away, you would change to back to the 1 TOG if it was warmer. Let me just bear with me 1 sec. I just want to read Lauren's question again. I just had a look at Lauren's question, and she's asking if she can let her 6-month-old sleep longer in the morning. Yes, Lauren, you can. When you've got older children at school, you sometimes have to adjust the routine for the school pickups. And yes, you could try a longer sleep in the morning, allowing your child to sleep till they wake, and then the smaller nap in the afternoon from as early as 6 months. But just make sure you're getting enough milk in. Make sure you always get enough milk in. But it is worth trying. Some people find it works. So try it, but make sure you get enough milk in. And if you find that they're not having a long enough sleep in the morning in order for you to do the big sleep in the morning and the catnap in the afternoon, Lauren, try making that morning sleep a tiny bit later to try and encourage longer sleep in the morning. Okay, thanks guys. That's all for today. I will catch you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.